You got the cool mic and everything, dude.
Dude, look at us. Look at us fucking mic, bruh.
Yeah, it looks so professional.
Shout outs Blue Microphones for hooking fucking dude up with little baby bottleneck. Welcome everybody to Wired and Wednesday. I got some crazy sinuses going on because I've been dick deep in a fucking spruce tree in the backyard for about 3 hours. So, and I was gonna take a shower, but I just shook all the pollen off my hat and shirt and ran up here. So that's how we're fucking doing it today. I forgot to put the thing in the chat or in the title that it's Wednesday, and if you hit raffle, we are giving away a pair of Astro A10 headphones. Shout outs to Astro for hooking us up every Wednesday and allowing people to enjoy their Twitch experience with a pair of Astros. That shit is sick. Today we are here with my friend Justin. He's been on before, but you know that we still got shit to talk about. Justin is a male dancer. How do you describe it? I don't want to fuck it up. I know everything has like political connotation now, so I'm saying male dancer. I don't want to use the word stripper if it offends you. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while actually. I actually retired a few years ago. So yeah, I wasn't making as much money as I'd hoped, and so yeah, now I'm retired and doing design stuff instead.
I had to hang up my fucking platform shoes and start designing video games.
My feet were too wide. I couldn't fit them in. Wasn't a good look.
I had to hang up my American flag G-string and start making video games.
Yeah.
Sarah Dope with the subscription at tier 3. That is big baller shit. Sarah Boo Boo, I love you. Sarah was actually there the day that we met because that was the first time I'd ever been to a video game convention, and honestly, I would have never gone if Sarah wouldn't have convinced me to go to the video game convention. And as I had had enough and was sitting in the lobby of the hotel getting some liquid courage to go back to the video game convention is where we met. And I've always been so impressed with you because you are one of the people that seems to be doing what they love to do, which is a rarity, I think. With I've been lucky enough to like meet a lot of cool people that do shit like that, but like, just homies that I grew up with. Like a lot of people got to take the side on what they love, but it is always great meeting people that are passionate about what they do. And what you do is, I mean, in a nutshell, it's designing video games. I know that goes so much deeper, but where I never knew that we would connect is you are like a fucking encyclopedia for like cutty ass, like West Coast, not even West Coast, just cutty ass, like underground indie, like hip hop shit, which was not what I thought was going to be the case when I sat down at like the fucking Hilton bar at PAX. So yeah. So, I mean, it's a funny story, right? I mean, I still tell the story of like randomly just waiting for my buddy actually to come up and saw you had the signature pierced something and lip or eyebrow. I used to think it was lip. And I was like, I wish it was my eyebrow.
And the funny thing is, like, I lived in LA for a while. I'm in Seattle now. And, you run into or you see the like random, celebrity, if you want to call it, celebrity, someone on TV, some music maker or whatever. They were going up to anybody. But I was like, I'm gonna go up. But I was actually gonna get a beer too. And so I was like, hey.
Yeah, he looks lonely, so maybe I could just, slide up real quick.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna try to take you home or anything. And so
it was the lip ring, huh? That's why I got rid of
it. You dance long enough and you can just kind of tell. You can look at somebody and tell. But no, I mean, it's just funny that like, we chatted for a bit and then, I was sitting there in my Titanfall shirt and then to have you come up with Colin afterwards and be like, hey, can I introduce you to my manager?
Because they're like, go back there. You fucking go back there and tell them that's like the whole reason why we're fucking here. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. So that was funny. I mean, it was like, I guess serendipitous and kind of running into each other there. And then I think the next time you were in Santa Barbara, I think it was, came out and I think it was Santa Barbara.
It may have. I think so. And I think, was that the night that like the Razer computer guy was there too? No, it wasn't Santa Barbara. It was that fucking weird festival in LA, downtown LA, wasn't it?
No, that was a different one. Are you talking about the one that Brother Ali was at?
Yeah, an Earl sweatshirt and Z-Trip, and
Yeah.
the fucking gas lamp killer got fucking fucked up and like didn't know which green room was his and went into mine and started like drinking all my beer. And I went in there and I was like, "What's up, dog?" And he's like, "Oh fuck, this is your green room." I was like, "Yeah, dude."
So I think that was actually Amy's actual first hip hop show. She came with me to that one. I think it was at Santa Barbara though. I don't know. We was just kind of like hung out, and then from there it was just every time you were in town, I'd come see you, or you come see me, and every time I was in town, yeah. And so here we are. Then we ended up moving out here, and both got kids and new babies, and
Yeah. I remember when you said you were moving out here. I was like, yeah. I always get excited when in my travels, I feel like a lot of the places that I go, I meet people that I genuinely like, really like, and wish I could spend more time with. But they live where they, if Rick's in here, shout out Rick from all the way from Ohio. If you lived here, I'd kick it with you all the time. But like, I don't really have that option, and then I'm coming through on work, so it's like even when I'm in your area, it's like this moment that I get to kick it with people that I really like. So I got excited when you were moving to the area, and then of course kids and touring. So we probably see each other just as much as we did when you were living in LA. But
pandemic didn't help anything, right?
It fucking did not help shit.
So and like luckily there's the vaccine. I mean, we'll see you soon enough and let the kids hang out and stuff like that. But it definitely changes everything having a having a kid, especially when you have two. It's fucking nightmare.
I mean, yeah, like speaking of like the kid experience, like every day is like this new journey for me, right? And you got some years on me now. Like you got like 3 years on me with this at this point.
Yeah.
And today I go to my first fucking walkthrough of a Montessori school, and there's all these other parents there, and they're so aggressive, and they're like some are standing there with their arms fucking crossed, asking like super serious questions. Some are pregnant, like, because here's the deal, I don't know if anyone here has their kid in Montessori school or has tried. The waiting list is like fucking it's like we're trying to get him into like an Ivy League college or some shit like that. It is crazy. There's people that are thinking about having kids that go to these things and put their fucking hypothetical child on the waiting list for these fucking schools. And it was like this overwhelming, and just like listening to them like talk about the schedule and like what this is, and I was like, damn, I haven't unlocked that level yet of parenthood, because I still got this like little mush, right? Like he's cool, he's starting to walk around, he's not talking yet, like I mean he screams and like blah, blah, like does cool shit, but like yeah, but he's not communicating his emotions via language yet, and I can't communicate with, he knows his name, but that's about it. But it's just crazy to think, like I haven't gotten to that level yet. I'm still like I'm working at beating the level 1 boss on easy mode, and
it's not easy mode, dude. No part of it's ever easy mode, and it's like you end up just changing one set of like challenges for another, right? And then like one set of like gains for another, like as it's weird how fast, I don't know, I know you and I talked about this a bunch like before he was born, as like things go so fast, and you kind of realize that it's like nothing ever made me feel more aware of like how fast life moves than having kids, because it's like you get older, and it's like every day kind of, if you're lucky, it kind of feels the same, right? You have this routine you're in, and you kind of go, and next thing you know, 5 years have passed. And a kid, you're like, oh shit, a month ago you couldn't even do this, and now you're doing that. Like 3 months ago you couldn't roll over, now you're rolling over. Now you're making sounds, now you're sitting up. Now, it's like there's now you're walking, now you're crawling. Like,
yeah,
all these like little milestones, and you're like, oh, you're never going back. Like once he starts talking, it's like, oh, you're gonna be doing this for the rest of your life.
And then you're gonna start saying shit I wish you didn't.
Yeah, you get there too. but yeah, we're trying to figure out like the schooling situation too, and it's like the Montessori school stuff to me is interesting because I feel like the parents with the like the folded arms and the hardcore questions and the deep planning of it is like almost the opposite of the parenting, where it's like I think parents like it's like your job as the parent to actually make sure your kid knows shit. Like
Yeah.
it's not just the schools. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna get you in the best school and they're gonna take care of everything and I'll just kind of keep doing my life. It's like no, you do as much as you can, and the schools should help.
And I was getting the vibe that a lot of parents, and that's just me, like I probably listened less than I should and people watched more than I should, during the thing. But it's like I feel like a lot of people are assuming that will be the thing for their kid, like if I could just get him here, then they'll be good, they'll be successful, and then I can have my life back. And it was FT full time all the way down the sheet. It's like I need my kid here from fucking 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. pretty much, so I can have my fucking life back. And you're gonna make this kid smart and sensitive and creative and whatever the fucking Montessori shit is. But like for me, it was just like I want him to have options that I didn't have. So of course I'm gonna try to put those on the table. But I'm in no rush either. Like, I could read books and sit at home and do a lot of that stuff with him. But what I can't give him is other children to be around. I can't give him that environment to like be around other kids. And that's where we do a lot of our learning. And get a lot of our confidence and shit, which is, I think, a huge part of the Montessori thing too, is you get the confidence because you go from A to B your way, which is like why I went to school to be a teacher and then realized that I can't like acceptedly, like I can't graduate college with that concept. Like I can't go, well, I want to be a teacher and this is what I want to do when I teach kids. Like I could go to like one of those colleges where you decide your own degree, but that won't actually like get me a job as a teacher. But I went as a teacher because I realized that there is more than one way to skin a cat, right? And that's not really the way that our public education system works, because underfunded and overpopulated as far as that's concerned. So we're just cramming kids in these buildings, and so there's a style to just churn them through, kick them in, kick them out. And I was definitely one of those kids that needed to know that there was another road to drive on, opposed to just the one road that they funnel you down. And I just felt like that didn't exist. And so I fucked up a lot and I fucked off a lot, and I found other things that weren't great and caused a lot of problems.
They got you where you are. I mean, one way or another, they got you where you are.
They did. I'm just wondering if I could have taken the same route that I took without the drama, if that makes any sense. Like if I could have found all of these things, because I think my life was pulling me in those directions anyways, but if I could have skipped all the fucking criminal shit, I guess if we had this, like if I could skip all the bad shit that hurt everyone, and including myself, could I still be where I'm at?
It's funny though, right? Like you could, but I think the way you see things would be different. I think you do still have to kind of go through what you go through in order to really have like whatever level of empathy you have, or like the way that you feel and handle situations. I think is kind of a result of all the stuff that you go through. And I think that like, there's no. I don't know if there's a way out of like kind of going through some troubling shit as a kid, like I feel like that's like the common thing. I think how far you go down whatever hole you go down is kind of actually dependent on the friends that you have, and and then your perspective on things as well, and what you're into and what you're not into. Like I think for me, like actually being so into games and video games, like that was kind of all I wanted to do, and so I did a lot of it, and I think that probably kept me out of doing more stupid shit than I did, you know. But I kind of feel like you kind of have to do that stupid shit. Like I think you're not supposed to. I mean, again, I don't. We don't need to go into all the details of whatever went down, but it's like, you know, it kind of makes you are. But I think, you know,
I'm just
the
wondering
thing
if
that
I
you
could
said,
have like been led to a creative path without a destructive path. And I do believe what you just said too. It's like our journey was our journey. Our outcome is our outcome. It isn't, it doesn't necessarily, it wouldn't be the same, right? Like I can't be who I am now without what I've gone through. I'm just wondering if I could have similar results without, because I was into those things. It's not like all the shit that I did made me creative. It's not like all the shit that I did made me love Wu-Tang. it was those are things that I just inherently did and liked. But I had to have a little bit of pain mixed in there, which maybe lends to my creative process. So maybe my name wouldn't be Greaves, but it'd be like
happy
little Smiley or something like that.
smiles.
Ear to ear.
You know, but then the funny thing is, right, is like then there's the whole like domino effect of life, right? Where it's like maybe some shit you went through and put out in a song helped somebody that would. It's just kind of a weird. It's like you never know how much of an impact you're having on the people around you. You know, you'll never get to see like the what would have happened if, you know, not just you, but kind of I think everybody in general, right? Like if you didn't do the things that you did on these different days, you know, how much impact did you actually have on people? You know, there's people that I, you know, might have helped out in a grocery store that stuff stayed with them for a long time. You know, they changed the way they looked at things, you know, or whatever. I don't know, man. But it's all connected in one way or another, I think. Like
I agree. I agree. And the older I get, the more I agree. And there is a comment in here that I definitely want to touch on from The Punisher, 1946, which I'm believing is a birth year. If not, you know, I'm not even going to fuck with it. Just
might be an address.
I live on Punisher 1946 Punisher Lane, which is hard. If I could ever somehow start my own like neighborhood, I would have like Punisher Square or Punisher Circle, Punisher Cul-de-sac. But anyways, she goes, public school failed, or I'm sorry, I always do this fucking pronoun shit. I don't know what you got. All I'm saying is this human, public school failed my oldest child here. Honestly, the pandemic and them shutting down saved her. And I have heard on multiple accounts about that. About, because we hear on the news and everything like that, we hear about, you know, schools shutting down and how hard it is for kids, but really it's how hard it is for parents. And it is. There are people that thrive in that kind of like regimented public school scenario. I've met hundreds of them, you know, like there are people that do really well in that regimented thing. But for everybody else that was eating shit during those times, during regular times, and are allowed to do this at home learning where you have all the time in the world to kind of process these things and figure it out your way, and you don't have the pressure of a classroom leaning on you and tons of other shit, that it was the best thing that has actually ever happened to them. And that is interesting to think about how we carry that into the future. Because we've proved that it can work. We've proved that it doesn't work for certain kids, but it does work for some. And can we keep it going? Will we keep it going? I know for some school districts, it is optional for the next school year if children will be returning. I don't know if that's going to get federally rolled in, where it's like, nah, y'all got to go to school. And then you also have to think about the teachers. Like, that's really hard for the teachers to do these classes. And I will say I have seen, you know, I have maybe seen the other side of it where kids take the opportunity to kind of fuck off during that shit because my nieces and nephews just stay up in this house pretty much all week because the oldest niece watches Roman, and I'll just watch him turn the Zoom class on and turn the camera off and just like put some like Bluetooth headphones in and just not do like play cards or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, you aren't learning shit. There's no way you're processing this while you're like playing Monopoly right now.
Yeah.
Or you're just smarter than I am. I don't know. But I am interested to see where it's going because, and I don't even know why I think about this shit. I mean, I guess I do because, you know, Roman's going to go to school at some point. Jamesy's, what's his situation?
I mean, he would already be in preschool if the pandemic didn't happen, right? And then I think he's signed up right now for fall, and then he'll get vaccinated as soon as he can, and hopefully that all kind of happens. But I think your point earlier that you were making like a while back was a really good one, which is the socialization is like the huge thing that we want him to get as well, right? It's like you don't. It's weird. He kind of got the pandemic at this weird point in his life, like right before he was 3, and then his entire year of being 3, he saw no family, limited friends, didn't hang around kids because they, it was just kind of like this, like, hey, this. I mean, I think you could probably argue that every year is probably a critical development stage for kids. I think like as far as just being around other kids, I think the early like 2 to 5 is like just super important to just learn how to deal with like little shitheads that like take your ball from you or whatever, right? Like you just kind of need to learn how to deal with that. And so you can kind of see he needs people, like he just wants it, so we started taking him to the playground and stuff like that, and he'll run into other kids, and it's kind of like this weird awkward standoff where they like run into each other and they kind of like look at each other, and eventually they just start running, they start chasing each other, and it's weird. I don't know. It's like, I don't know, some ritual or something like that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think the it's going to be interesting because I think it's not just schools. It's like companies are making the case that like, hey, we're remote forever now. And it's just different. It is like there's no, I don't think there's any way around it. Like you can't, it's just not as efficient, I don't think, to be away from people as it is to be there in person and have like quick little ad hoc conversations or private conversations that don't necessarily always last in 30-minute chunks and stuff like that. And I think kids, I don't know if kids learned as well, and then they obviously are missing the socialization part, which is a huge part of going to school. I actually think that it's probably more important because I think we were saying earlier too is like the school system is like, here is the curriculum, here's what we're teaching, like it doesn't matter whether you gravitate towards it or against it, this is the shit you're going to learn, and you're going to come out on the other side one way or another, and that's going to dictate really what your options are after this, right? And it's like, it might be like, I'm super creative, I don't have any interest in that. Now, so then the other thing is, right, the flip side is you don't want like stupid ass kids that are like, I don't know how to add, and so it's like, I don't know what the I don't know what the minimum, the minimum bar is for it all, but like, I definitely think that supporting the strengths of our kids is the best way forward, right? And that's actual capitalism, is capitalizing on all of your people and getting the best out of them. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, shit, I don't know. Only time will tell with all this, but it's crazy to think about. And it affects, beyond just schools and kids and all that other stuff. Because, I know a lot of people in the chat don't have kids, or people that watch this don't have kids. And this could be taken into context with work, or like for me, I've worked from home for the past 15 years, right? So when the pandemic hit, for me, the biggest problem was I couldn't do what kind of my going to work is, which would be touring.
Right.
So I wasn't able to do that, which is kind of this, like, for me, it's this life experience that it fills my pot up so that I can pour it into records. And I just didn't have it this year. Like, I was uninspired, and the world was falling apart, and there's a lot of emotions going on, and a lot of anger and a lot of pain. I'm bringing a child into the world. Last year was like, um, and so my contribution as far as what I do was that the record Canopy, which just doesn't have any lyrics, and it was like it was a emotional melodic representation of how I felt about all those things. And I'm curious if, like, does that change me as an artist? Like, do I, not that I lost what I had or anything like that, but I feel like that time, like for kids going to school, I just realized that I am more attentive. I do better when I'm working from home or whatever, right? Like, let's say that's perspective of a high school student moving into the future.
Yep.
You probably did a lot of working from home last year, but you kind of do a lot of team-based stuff. So you're doing Zoom calls, you're working for Microsoft. So it's like a lot of, I don't know. I feel like that might be a little harder. For me, it's just like I was just left with my music, and I've never just been left with my music before. It's always been like, here are all the other things that you have to do. And then I discovered this other side of myself that was like, oh, I really do want to do this. I want to make records like this too, just like a high school kid would be like, I'm better if I'm working from home, and not because I'm fucking off, but because I am able to focus more when I am in my own place. And for me, I was able to kind of conjure up this new creative space, but it actually took me away from my other one. So I'm interested to see if it affects other people in what they do, or if it's affecting other people in their creative space. I've seen a lot of people that, like, I follow and look up to, also went dark last year. Like, there hasn't been a shitload of stuff. Maybe they took that time to go to the studio, or maybe they just took that time to be with family and just kind of catch up and get this kind of life that we don't normally have, which is just being at home for a year straight. But I'm interested to see if it brings, because, the big office is like, we're not going back. We're going to stay with the remote stuff. I wonder how that trickles down across everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. My gut tells me people are still going to go back. I think there will be some remote stuff for some folks, but I feel like people still kind of want to be together. Like, it's like you just get together with another person, like, oh my God, this is so nice. Like, just it feels normal, but I think it also kind of feels like just more human, right? Rather than like just the constantly talking through the screens, and it's like it's also weird how hard it is to have a conversation actually through screens when you get together in person, and you're like, oh, okay, actually, like, there's so many people I work with now that I only have ever met through on calls, right? And then I'm like, man, this shit feels weird. Like, I don't know, maybe there's not a good vibe here. And then, like, you get together in person, and you're like, oh, actually, no, it's a great vibe, but it's just hard to kind of pull through with all the online stuff. You can't read the nuance, the body language, the timing of when to talk. It's just kind of a weird world. I mean, I think even like, when you're talking about music, it's like, it's just been the world hasn't been a happy place. I don't know how to put it any other way. It just hasn't really been a happy place. It's like everything is, there's just, everything's heavy, and a lot of it for good reason, right? But like, it's just like there's the joy is kind of hard to come by. It's like maybe that comes out as well, right? And then you got the life changing of having a kid. That's a big thing, and it's like that's a different kind of job. It's weird how much having a kid it gives you so much, but it takes a lot out of you too. You very quickly realize that you're not the most important person, and you kind of end up with like, you're like, all right, this is what I got left. And really, like, I mean, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, what I usually have left is like a cocktail or two and some television, and then I just like want to go to bed. It's like, I'm just fucking tired.
I'm legitimately worried from when I have to tour again, because right now 10 o'clock rolls around and I feel like it's 4 in the morning. I'm fucking like can
Yep.
barely keep my fucking eyes open. I don't want to do shit. I could be covered in shit and it would
Which
be 10
probably
o'clock. I could be covered in like shit, like someone, a porta potty could explode on me and it would be 10 o'clock and I'd be dragging my bones through the house and it'd be like, I gotta take a shower now, or I could just go sleep and just maybe do the laundry in the morning and I'll shower when I get up. Like the shit that I think about letting slide now, just because I'm so tired at 10 o'clock, fucking 10 p.m. is crazy. AC Smith sliding through, gifting 5 tier 1 subs to the community. That's my guy. Thank you so much for coming through. That's 5 opportunities for you motherfuckers to win a pair of Astro headphones. So go ahead and hit exclamation raffle in the chat, and who knows, maybe you're lucky. Queen Gompo she's really lined up. She's feeling this one. She's feeling like this is her day. So AC Smith kind of just stacked the odds against her a little bit, but who fucking knows? Who knows how it's going?
It only takes one. Should we talk about something other than kids?
I actually have a question that kind of this has slowly built up to, but this is a question just from our conversation. Is due to your time, like you live in a creative space or you work in a creative space, that's what you do. Like you see the posters behind you. These are things that you've worked on and created and designed and shit that you've, for lack of a better term, fought for, right? Like, this is what you wanted to do. And did you find yourself kind of going back to my comment earlier where like I didn't dial into my exact creative space that I'm known for last year, but I did find a creative space. Did you find creative time last year? Did you find the time where you had been forced to stay home, where you had more spare time than you probably had? Did you find yourself creating more, or did you find yourself shying away from it?
Yeah, it's funny. The question. So you know, what I'm working on right now is not
inspiring to create.
It's just not. I'm not in the same creative space that I was. Right. Like I'm not actively working on a game right now, which is just a different place for me. Right. From some of the stuff in the background. So it's more like there's just a lot of shit to get done, kind of where I am now. And I feel like to me, it's like the working from home actually is kind of netted out to being just a lot of like late nights. Like everybody is kind of always quote unquote available. We all have our machines at home now, which kind of actually has just turned into like a really, kind of shitty lifestyle, I guess, for lack of a better word. It just kind of sucks. It's because you can always do it, right? And it's like there's always work to be done. And so you're like, I got a couple hours. I'll jump down there if you're, somebody who wants to kind of still build good stuff. But like the create, like I've got no energy really to do anything since the second kiddo. Like I've just had like no time to do anything. I mean, he was, the story. He was born a little bit early and kind of, lots of challenges to kind of get there. And so it's more like if I actually make it through the day and like I go to bed and I like feel like I did something that mattered, I'm actually pretty happy. And it's funny, it's like I had this like I've got back pain, right? And so like I used to have to like have like an edible like pretty much every night before Charlie was born. And now I don't need anything. I'm like fucking dead to the world at like 11 o'clock. I lay down and I fall asleep in like a minute. I'm just done. So I think that's actually the other thing is if anybody's like hooked on edibles and they're trying to figure out a sleeping solution, just have 2 kids and like you will be out like that. Like it will. That's the cure.
Dude, I took all that for granted. I was like, I'll be fine. I fucking tour, like I don't get any sleep. I never sleep. I was fucking dead wrong. Someone should have checked my ass at the door. But
But nothing can prepare you for the always on, right? Like your brain's always on, always thinking, where are they? What are they doing? Do they have something in their hand? Are they gonna put that in their mouth? Are they gonna you just you kind of have this like constant loop going on. That's like that's why like I mean it's so hard to hang out with another adult with a kid, even a well-behaved kid who's just doing what you need them. Your brain is still constantly like doing that check. You might be doing it right now. You know, you're like,
dude, I can hear a baby crying 2 miles away in a hailstorm. I'll be like, I dial in, and it happens to me out in public too. Like,
yeah,
I used to think that it was just I could hear Roman, like his frequency was tuned into me or whatever like that. But I can hear I could hear a baby crying 2 miles away in a hailstorm. It is this crazy spidey sense that I don't want at all.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I fear my next plane ride. But it is crazy. Like your body just fucking dials in and does all this crazy shit. Oh shit, Cali Squat Life. Are you lurking? Is that why you get a fucking why you've been gifted a tier 1 sub from AC Smith, who, by the way, just gifted 3 tier 1 subs to the community. And Callie, if you are lurking in the background, why don't you just say some shit, huh? Callie is like my video game homie. She lives in fucking Waco, Texas. She is the great granddaughter of Mr. Koresh, if I'm right. She's not.
Everybody in Waco is.
That shit was fucked up. Every time I drive through there, I'm just like, man, some shit went down here. Every time I watch that fucking show on like the HGTV or whatever the home network is, every time I'm like, oh, some shit went down here. And motherfuckers are moving to Waco now.
Yeah, it's probably cheap. I think like. So I lived in Dallas for a while, and I would do the drive down to Austin, and I kind of felt that same way. It was like you kind of feel like you want to like just kind of do the long path around it or something. I don't know why, but for some reason it's like one of those weird places. I don't really want to drive through here.
I just remember my mom crying on like the new. I have all these like weird memories of my mom just staring at the TV screen and crying, and that was definitely one of them when I was a kid. My mom just like, my mom would keep us home. I don't know if anybody else's parents did this. My mom would keep us home during like major events. Except for 9/11. She made us go to school during that one, which is super bizarre. Which we didn't do any school that day. We all just sat in like the fucking our classroom or whatever. It was a trailer for us, but sat in a trailer and just like watched the TV. And some girl was like lying, like, my brother's on that flight. And it's like, no, he's not. But okay, because you live down the street from me and I know you fucking lying. But yeah, my mom used to keep us home. Like, she kept us home during the Waco shit. She kept us home like during like the OJ trials. It's like the main
that was
like
a year. Did you miss a year of school? Like that went on.
No, not for everything, but like the sentencing. She like kept us home for that. Oklahoma City bombing. She kept us home for. Like, it was very weird. My mom, I don't understand why she did that, but shit, we didn't go to school that day.
Right, but she figured out by 9/11. She was like, "You're good to go."
Maybe that's why I'm so emotional. She just like kept us from. She kept us home, and we just stared at like trauma on the TV screen.
Yeah, no, that'll get you. So I got a question for you. Actually, I got a rapper question for you. So I was. So Colin hit me up about like, hey, add the song to the Cantina jukebox, which I added to there. And then that got me down a rabbit hole and got me into like looking up like old school Outcasts and looking up Andre 3000. Like, hey, has he done anything? Let's hear, where is he at? I haven't heard much from him. And so then I found a podcast where he was talking to Rick Rubin. And I don't know if you've listened to this. It's fantastic. I'd highly recommend checking it out. But within like the first like minute of it, he's talking about Souls of Mischief and hieroglyphics and how inspiring they were to him. And he's like, yeah. You know, like my first, like, I don't know, first verse or something he did. He's like, yeah, I sounded exactly like Souls of Mischief. And, you know, talking about like the inspiration of it. And then there was a whole thing about him and Eminem. They're like on the phone for an hour talking about Souls of Mischief and how how inspiring they were and blah blah. Going back,
Well,
all
they were
shit.
huge. They were all over Yo MTV Raps and shit. Like 93 Until Infinity was like a fucking, it was a legitimate hit song.
But the part that I was I was curious about this. I feel like I've heard this story a bunch now from different people that are like, oh yeah, I was super inspired by so and so, some underground AC Lone, whatever, some random kind of hip hop head, and I'm always like, you got huge. Why don't people kind of put on like I love hieroglyphics so much.
Know.
I mean that's from where I grew up, but like I'm sitting there like, but if you felt like they inspired you and you were huge and they never got they got some recognition, but not like they should have, I don't think. Why wouldn't you put them on? And I feel like that's a weird thing in rap, like in hip hop rap, like you're like, oh yeah, I was so inspired by so and so, I never did a record with them. Like,
I don't.
Why?
That's a good question. I've been asked that question about the people that I know in my life, and it's just like, when I get asked that question, but like my dad will ask me, he'll be like, why the fuck isn't blah 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 like bringing you on these tours? And it's like, dude, that dude don't owe me shit. Like these people don't owe me anything just because they know me, right? So,
yeah.
But I would say, like, same with J. Cole, right? Like J. Cole's like that's like a recent thing, like him talking about being a big Souls of Mischief fan and him just doing, was it Hot 93 or some shit like that. He just did like a freestyle over the 93 Till Infinity beat, and that's probably has millions of views from just like a month or two ago from when his record came out. So like he's getting more views than like the original video has like 17 million or something like that, which is fuck all for something that's been on the internet for, I think it got uploaded like 10 years ago or 7 years ago or something like that. 15 million. And this dude's going to clock probably that in a week on his freestyle. So it's like, I am curious, like you're J. Cole, right? You're going to gear up for this huge world arena tour. You could, you got your Dreamville shit, so you're going to bring some of your people, but like, why not? Like, I was like, it would be dope if that next J. Cole tour, like, is this a hint? Like, are they gonna put Souls of Mischief on that tour? Is it like Dell hitting the fucking Gorillaz record and just like getting this huge resurgence? And it's like, oh yeah, we all clearly love Dell. We all love the hieroglyphics and Souls of Mischief and shit like that. But I don't know, man. I would love to see more of it. I look at this isn't the same context because this is more just kind of cool to me when I think about it. But it's like I look at this Atmosphere Cypress Hill tour that's coming up, and I think it's kind of a bigger deal for Atmosphere than it is for Cypress Hill. But those kind of collaborative things are tight, and he's been very forward, being like, dude, this is huge to me. Like I'm super inspired by Cypress Hill, and the fact that I get to like do this like headlining tour with them is the shit. So it's cool. But and you look at like Macklemore, that first tour that he did, when he did the Heist, he brought Talib Kweli out because he was a big fan, and that had got to be a weird situation for Talib Kweli to be like opening for fucking Macklemore. And I think Big Crit was the other dude on there who was like, I think at that point like geared to kind of be in that situation, but maybe never got there. But to me, that was him like paying it forward. I wish we saw more of it. I don't know why we don't see more of it.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure because I don't think it's even about owing. I think it's more like just like if I think about like from the space I'm in, right? Like games, it's like somebody made some obscure game that I loved, like, and I was hugely successful somewhere. I would like love to bring in the stuff that they worked on or work with them or sit down, like because that's kind of the creative process. I guess it's kind of like what I was curious about, and it's like, yeah, I was just curious.
Well, think
Like,
about the something I've always kind of lived by is like, as far as like a definition of success is for me was when my idols became my peers, not my competition. They became my peers, and I don't know if that standpoint is as popular as when your idols become your competition, especially in hip hop,
right,
where it's like, I grew up like maybe the standpoint is like I didn't get shit from you, like other than inspiration, but like why now that I'm here, like I didn't get any help from you, like you weren't putting me on when I was below you, so like why am I gonna I don't really know. For me, I feel like it would be a sign of success and accomplishment for me to work with people that inspired me to be who I am, and I am lucky enough to have done that. I my whole 10-year stint at Rhymesayers was that. Touring around the world with Slug and Brother Ali was that. And we'll just see what the future brings with other shit like that. But, I did a tour with the Gym Class Heroes and T-Pain a long time ago. And it
yeah,
isn't something that I necessarily wanted to do. And I got a lot of fucking flack from the Rhymesayers fan. Like, a lot of Rhymesayers fans were like, what the fuck? Like, you try to be mainstream, motherfucker, blah, 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 this bullshit. And it's like, look. And they're, like, making fun of the people that, like T-Pain. And it's like, oh, you're just trying to... I don't know. My response was, look, a lot of these places that we are going were like these very small fucking towns in the Midwest, and they were like these like small college towns, and they were like small arena shows, and they were big, and there were a lot of kids there, but they don't know anything else. Like, right? Like, they're exposed to the shit that's on the radio. So they hear T-Pain's coming, they're gonna go fuck it. They know T-Pain songs because they're crammed down their fucking throats, like 6 of them a day. That dude at that time was like on every hook on the top
dude,
radio.
he
Like,
has his own microphone. You can go buy the T-Pain microphone at, I don't know if it's still out, but there's that makes you sound like it just auto tunes your voice.
he had an app where you get the T-Pain app,
There's a
but
T-Pain app.
like that dude was on every song on the radio, even if it wasn't his song, because he was singing the fucking hook. Like, dude was everywhere. So it's
Well,
like,
and you know who the stripper was that he was in love with, right?
no. Ah! That's how you go full circle on that ass. In case you guys weren't fucking wondering.
I said no. I wasn't gonna do it. But
Damn.
but yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of like one of the other things too, right? Is the whole like sellout concept is kind of an interesting one, where it's like, I feel like when you're like you were independent, then you jumped on a label and your entire sound and everything changed is one thing. But I feel like there was that like weird, we don't want you to be successful. Like, we want to keep you as our little like thing that only we know about. And instead of like, hey, if you're being your authentic self and you're making music that you love and you're like, we want you to have all the success in the world. It's kind of an interesting.
Those indie rap kids, man. And thank you for all of the support and, like all of the but like 2 things. So to finish on that T-Pain shit, they got really upset. And I was like, look, here's the deal. They don't have the right to discover new music. And I don't have the right to maybe... Do you know how hard it is for me to go on? It's way harder for me to go on that tour than for you to, like, meh about it. So I'm going and I'm playing for kids that listen to T-Pain. Do you know how fucking hard it is to get kids that like T-Pain to like what I do and maybe turn them on to some of this shit? They have the right to discover this music. So fuck all y'all saying that it's like, no, this is our thing. You blah, blah. So that was a hard tour, but you know who wanted me there was Travie McCoy from the Gym Class Heroes. Huge hip-hop fan and continuously paying it forward to the things that inspire him. So he was the reason why we were on that tour. He suggested us for it. He rallied for us, and he fucking supported us while we were out there. He would stand like on the side of the stage and like bop to our shit every day. And like the fans would see that and be like, if Travie's down, then fucking I'm down. Like, that dude paid it forward for the shit that he loved.
Liked, yeah.
Now on to what you had just said. One of the biggest things that has frustrated me in my career in the indie rap realm is people love you best and want you to struggle. They don't want you to be successful. It's almost like abuse. Like they fucking want you beneath them to entertain them as their jester, but they don't want your shit to be successful. They don't want you to have millions of plays on YouTube. They don't want you to be on the radio. They don't want you doing bigger tours. They want you eating shit. And for me particularly, they don't want me happy. They don't want me making happy records. They don't want me talking about shit that I'm proud of and happy of. They want me commiserating my misery and eating shit. And it was like the hardest thing for me to just like not fucking jump on the internet and be like, here's a whole bunch of dick for you guys to suck, and just like start like just every just start responding to everyone. And I never understood it, and I've never seen it in spades than that very small like indie rap community that points heavily at the Rhymesayers people, but like it was so fucking weird to me, man.
I think some of it is like the part where I can kind of see it is I think people are like, I'm having a hard time too, or I'm going through something, and I want you to like, I like the fact that you make something that I can relate to, and I don't, and when you're happy and I can't, I mean, that's also a very,
but you're going to be happy again too.
There's a lot of like, I consider myself a fairly happy person, and so like, it's weird. I'm a happy person, and I like kind of more sad music, I think sometimes maybe. And then like Amy's more, I don't think she's as happy as I am all the time, but she loves happy music. So I don't know if there's something there where it's like, you're happy and you like sadder music, and you're more level-headed and you like happy music. I don't know.
I'm a clown and I make sad music.
Yeah, your last, I mean, some of it's pretty sad. I mean, your name's sad. I mean, yeah, it's sad, and you live in a rainy place.
Yeah, I do.
But there's still some hope there. I don't know, man. It's a weird place though. Like I don't quite understand the like I look at like bands or musicians or whatever that I really like, and I go on Spotify where now they give you the like number of listeners that people have, which I actually love. It kind of makes me, gives me a perception of kind of how well somebody's doing or how appreciated they are. And when I see like bands or musicians that I really like, numbers lower, I'm like, man, fucking world's missing out. And then you go and you see random, I don't know, fucking Marshmello or something. I don't actually know who he or what he does. 50 bazillion monthly users or something. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. The world's kind of confusing to me sometimes.
Yeah, but that's also like the playlist game is like the pay-to-play radio, payola shit from back in the day. It's just switched over to playlists now. They're all owned by the fucking major labels anyways, so whatever. It's set up to lose for indie artists unless you play that big game. Unless you find a way to crack in on your own, and then you can control your own destiny, i.e. Macklemore's and all that other shit, which is great, but also not something we should be relying on as artists. But I also think about like, okay, and maybe it's just because this is what I do for a living, so I could only imagine what I would do with if I had the budget that some of these motherfuckers that you guys hate on had. I would make the best music you've ever heard in your life. Like, I would, if you like my music now, you are gonna love it when I got a fucking $400,000 budget for a record. Can you like, that just means I get to do whatever the fuck I want. That means I get to go wherever the fuck I want. That means I can rent out full symphonies and do all the shit that I just can't do.
And you can get T-Pain on every track.
I get T-Pain on every track. I be singing his hooks. Fucking, but it's like, I can't imagine that that would change me in a direction that you wouldn't like. I think that it would only allow me to creatively pursue things that I financially can't. Because I do hit the wall all the time where I'm just like, man, but wouldn't it be dope? And even fans all the time are like, oh, it would be so dope if you and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah could come to this city on blah, blah, blah with this and blah, blah, blah and bring, you know, like all this shit and fucking maybe have like a loot section and a choir. And it's like, yeah, okay, I could do that if I was doing the shit that you guys like kind of hate. Like,
don't want me to do.
Yeah, like if I was doing those bigger tours, then I would have money to do all the outlandish shit that you guys be sliding up in the DMs asking me to do, or, you know, YouTube comments. I'd get to do all sorts of cool shit. So, you know, I'd have fucking flamethrowers and shit. It'd be crazy.
Yeah. I think that's one of the funniest things, actually, right? Is like, everybody thinks they understand how it works, and pretty much nobody understands how it works. Like, everybody is like, you know, oh, so-and-so got involved, and now that's why. Like, I remember, like, with, you know, on like Titanfall and like, you know, the games that we were working on, it's like, oh, it's because EA is making them do this, and it's like, no,
yeah,
it's not actually at all. And they go, EA, see, once EA got involved, they made them do this. It's like, no, that's not true. Like, there's just like this, like, people think X is bad, and whenever anything happens, it's X's fault. And it's like, no, that's actually not how it works. You actually have no idea how games are made. Like, how, you know, like, this is for where I come from, right? It's like, no, you can't just add mechanics to a game, you know, in 3 months. That doesn't happen, right? Like, these are pre-planned things. They take a long time. There's a reason behind it. It's usually not what you think, but people quickly jump on, and they know who the bad person is in the story, and they know why things are going whatever, and then they just say, this is what it is.
Well, that's because we inherently want to blame it on the man, right?
Yeah, the man usually deserves it, in all fairness. But
there's a comment that goes, oh, Titanfall turns Lonnie into a hateful man, which is her husband. So apparently he gets, I'm assuming he's very into the game, very passionate about the game. And when he gets murked by a 10-year-old in the game, I'm assuming that is where the hate comes from. That
makes sense.
That's definitely the answer.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, we've hit 6:15. We talked about kids. We talked a little bit about rap. We talked a little bit about video games.
I feel like last time, like, and I feel like we spent too much time just talking. People were like, "Fuck, talk about games or talk about rap."
Well, I feel like what we've talked about has been helpful and applicable across, you know, whatever people want to apply it to. But regardless, it's just been nice seeing your beautiful face and catching up with you. And we do have a playlist, as you know, that we do every week. It's called the Cantina, the Greaves Cantina Jukebox. If you don't follow it on Spotify, make sure you get over there and give that a follow. But every time we bring somebody on Wired and Wednesday, we ask them to pick a song. And you have such good taste in hip-hop. I should honestly just have you curate one week. I just have you pick like 14 songs, and it'll just be like shit Justin used to ride the bus to, or what, you know, whatever it is. But I would like to start doing that too, like just having like little one-off curated playlists. But you have such good taste in music, so I'm excited to see what you've picked for this one.
Do you know what it is?
I don't. I never know, because then I can genuinely ask instead of being like, what did you pick? I know that it's Punks Jump Up and Get Punched. But
did you ever hear No's solo album? Cunnilingus with that?
No's, what's it called again?
Death is Silent.
Yes.
So it's a song from there. It's not at the end with Tunji. Do you know that dude Tunji? Do you know Tunji?
I do. Yeah, I did. I went on a tour with him and the Linguists and the Loop Troop Rockers. Big A&R now.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That dude like blew the fuck up and signed like all the people that everybody listens to.
Kendrick.
And
that was his big shit.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's super fucking dope. Like I like from like his inverse days and like all the stuff that he did with kind of Linguist. And then the No album, he's on I think 2 songs on there. He's super fucking talented, and it's funny because that kind of going back to the same thing. I'm like, dude, this dude's got his own label now. He's super successful. Like he knows that kind of Linguists are super fucking dope. Like why? Like should he sign them and like put like help get them? You know, like I don't know. I feel like the world would be a better place if people listen to their music.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. You know, like I just don't know why. Who knows the interwebbings of what's going on there, right? Like maybe that has already been attempted.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he's kicking no production gigs or who fucking knows. I don't know. But like, you know, I love those success stories of people like Tunji that have gone on to be like wildly. Did you know that Icon the Mic King just said like, fuck it, and like got into the tech realm and just fucking became wildly successful?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude is like fucking bankrolling. Like he's doing great now and like does music on the side. I just made a beat for him, Pac FM, and my homie Johnny October, and I guess Icon's working on like another record, and he like rented out crazy studio time, and my buddy Johnny was like, hey, we're working on this song that's like, you know, it's kind of talking about shit we've learned from fatherhood, but it's not gonna like be about, like people won't know, it's just we're gonna kind of poetically discuss that.
Yeah.
And they like sent me over some like DJ Khaled beat or something like that was like for you know, to use as like inspiration. I made him. This is pretty fucking tight. I'm excited to see what they do over it. So
nice.
But it's also like, yo, I remember watching that dude freestyle like when I was younger, being like, oh shit, he was at that show that in LA.
Was it?
Yeah. He would, in between sets, he was freestyling, and you know, he does the thing where you take the thing out of your pocket and you hold it up, and he'll grab it out of your hand and like do it into the freestyle and give it back to you, and then grab some other shit. And yeah, he's sick.
That's dope.
But wildly successful outside of hip hop.
Yeah, that's good.
I gotta learn how to code or some shit, or start my own cryptocurrency.
Keep doing music stuff. Yeah, exactly. Greed coins.
Well, thanks for fucking coming on, man. I appreciate you so much. We'll set up a time where we can hang out and drink bourbon or scotch or whatever it is, and
let the kids play.
Let the kids play. But we'll be back on Monday. The drink should be posted in the Discord. If you are not familiar with Discord, we use that a lot, and it's also a great way to kind of just have an open discussion with everyone that you fuck with here over on the Twitch. I'm in there all the time talking shit. There's a bunch of categories. There's like pet selfies. There's all sorts of shit in there. So make sure you guys jump up in the Discord, hit that with a follow. Thanks for all the new subscribers and followers over here on Twitch. We'll be back on Monday for happy hour. I forget the name of the cocktail, but it's got rum. It's got coconut. It's great. I drank one last night. It's good shit. Oh, and the fucking the headphones. Who got them? Kapow Tadao one has one. The Astro A10s. See, here's the deal, Queen Gampo. We gonna make you wait for it, right? You gonna have to wait for this. You want this? You're gonna have to wait for this. It's gonna make it so much better when you finally have it. It's gonna feel so good, Queen Gampo, when you finally win those motherfucking headphones. Because let's be real here, you are gonna win those headphones at some point. Okay, the law of averages has determined that you will win those headphones. It's just when, and then how fucking good they're coming your way. All right, Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next week. Maybe Queen Gombo will fuck around and win some sexy ass headphones. Justin, once again, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Peace,
Thanks
y'all.
for having me, bud.